Hello and welcome to Vocal Intuition Live on this lovely Tuesday afternoon, or at least it's becoming a bit more lovely as the sun comes out. And it's nice to see you here today. If you are watching, make yourself known and drop a comment in. We'd love to hear from you. I'm here today with the wonderful Minakshee Patel. And Minakshee is an award-winning consultant, and she works with people on behalf of promoting inclusivity. It's the best way I can say it, really. So you can tell us a bit more about what you do, Minakshee.
Hi, Anne, and hi, everyone that's out there. As Anne says, please let us know that you're there. I'm Minakshee, and I'm a founder of Minakshee Patel Consultancy. And as Anne said, I look into equality, diversity, and inclusion. And I work with small to medium-sized businesses who don't always have the resources to employ staff to support them in their equality, diversity, and inclusion agenda. And so I can come in, do a piece of work for them, and leave them to get on and put it into practice. Because a lot of the times, what I find is that small to medium-sized businesses want to do the right thing, but don't always know where to start.
Mm-hmm. So in a way, I meant to say this just to start with, it's a way of helping people to have their voice, isn't it, within a particular business or in a particular context?
Yeah, because looking back, the last 30 odd years that I have been working in the public sector and voluntary sector, I've been in roles where I have supported people's voices to be heard. And sometimes, for whatever reason, not everybody feels comfortable in voicing their opinion. And in my view, everyone's opinion counts and they need to be supported. So I will champion other people and promote other people to be the best that they can be. That's why one of my roles is also supporting a charity by being a trustee. And I support a mental health advocacy charity. And that's the one that I had the award, Trustee of the Year last week
Amazing.
Thursday.
Yeah. So congratulations on that award.
Thank you very much.
We'll talk a bit more about that in a bit.
Yeah.
But to a certain extent, my work's about helping to give people a voice in a physical and also emotional sense, I suppose. And your work's about making sure that they have a voice by being included. I was looking in my brain for the equality diversity bit at the beginning, but obviously it's Tuesday lunchtime and that was the case there. So hey ho, these things happen, don't they, when you're live?
They do indeed. And it's a mouthful. It's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful. So it's quite nice to just bring it back to EDI, isn't it? Which we often do. And, as a trainer and as a coach, I'm looking to be as inclusive as I possibly can be with my clients as well. So what was it that drew you to actually doing this work? What is it about it that really appeals to you?
Unbeknown to me, I think I've been practicing this ever since my childhood. My school reports have said, talks too much. But that's because I felt that others weren't able to voice themselves. So I was always supporting championing them to say what they wanted to say. And sometimes that was seen as, oh, I'm talking too much, but so it was happening anyway.
Yes.
And when I did my degree in actually economics, number crunching and things, but I liked the people side of it. So I took a sideways step and went into HR instead.
As you do.
as you do. And, about trying to support the NHS at that time to recruit the right people for the right jobs.
Mm.
And sometimes it is about not just looking at people's CVs, but actually listening to them, why they want those jobs, what they can bring to that. So listening, hearing, giving people a voice was already there. And then the last 17 years, I've worked in local government about making sure that communities were involved and customers were involved in the services that were available to them. They had a say in the types of services that they needed. So I think it's been there in all my working life.
I really love something that you said there, which was it involves listening. And again, I can find a parallel with that. You know, my job involves listening and holding space for people.
Mm.
And if we listen and if we take that on board, then we can really give people a chance to voice themselves fully. You also used the term voicing themselves, which I loved. So we're obviously on the same brain wave here, but wavelength. That's what I was
Yeah,
looking for. We're on the
yeah.
same wavelength, but obviously with very different jobs, you know. So, what are the typical issues, do you think, that people face in actually being inclusive and in dealing with this?
So sometimes people want to do and say the right things, but they don't always know how, especially if they are not from the same community as someone
Mm,
or the same age as someone,
mm,
um, or have a disability that somebody else has. They don't always
yes.
know what's right. So it's enabling them to ask the question, what do I say? How do I phrase this when I'm talking to somebody with a disability or when I'm talking to somebody with a different ethnic background to me,
Mm,
so that they don't feel that I am being judgmental or I am um, not seeing them in the same level as me,
mhm,
or they don't sort of think I'm being discriminatory. So it's about working with them
mm,
to then come up with something so that when they are voicing, when they are raising a question, it's from a level of compassion rather than a level of judgment, in my view. So that's how I try and work with people.
I really like that. I think compassion is a very important thing. And I also understand how people can be stuck with this because there's so much more awareness now of these issues, which is a
Mm,
good thing. And yet, because there is so much awareness and because so many people are speaking about it, it can leave us unsure of exactly what to say, what to ask, how to treat people in different circumstances. And it's not because we're coming necessarily from a place of prejudice, but because we simply don't know,
yeah.
or it's never been that way before, you know. So it's, I mean, obviously you're from a different ethnic background than I am. Is that a wrong thing for me to say, or is that okay?
No, uh, it's a fact. We are
Yeah,
both from different ethnic background. So that's a
yeah,
fact. And I would hope that we've known each other well enough to then be able to ask a question.
mm,
And I need to be able to understand that it's coming from a place of wanting to learn, wanting to be informed.
mm,
And the way I work with people is in that way. I don't make a judgment that, oh, they're asking this, oh, they're being prejudiced. I work on the basis that people are asking because they're not aware and they're not informed. And so I see my role as educating and
yes,
informing so that next time they come across somebody who is from the same ethnic background as myself, then they feel a little bit more comfortable and more informed
Mm,
to talk to
mm,
them and approach them.
mm. It's another strange thing. I was asking you that question. I knew it would be okay, but I asked it to you anyway, and I still felt nervous as I asked it because I thought, "Is this right? Am I going to do something wrong?" And I think many of us do when we meet somebody
Yeah,
who's different to ourselves, and we're not quite sure how to handle
I-
that.
and I understand that and I appreciate that. And I think what you will find is majority of the individuals will be more than happy that you've actually asked the question. How do they want to be referred to? How do you pronounce your name? Rather than have a go and get it wrong. People want to help you get things right.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
so I always say, if you're not sure, don't make a judgment and say something. Ask the person because everybody will answer it differently.
Mm,
Just because
mm,
I'm a South Asian Hindu woman doesn't
mm.
mean that everybody will be the same as me.
No.
Because we've all had different life experiences, um,
Yes. So
different.
we can't generalize just from
No, no,
one
no, we
person.
can't.
Yeah.
So asking is always okay. Asking the person,
Mm,
how do you want me to address you? I'm
mm.
really sorry. Can you spell your name for me? Can you pronounce it for me? I don't want to get it wrong. And that's
That's
will
perfect.
always be fine. Always be fine.
That's good. That's good to know. If anyone's watching out there and you have any thoughts about this, we're talking about equality, diversity, and inclusion in the workplace. Minakshee works with companies, small to medium sized companies, to do this and also works for charity. I obviously work with my clients one on one and also in workshops and things. And we have different jobs, but we have a lot of overlap. And this idea of actually including everybody and making things available to them in the right way is very important. So do drop in a comment if you're there. We'd love to hear from you. I can see a few people watching, so that would be great. And yeah, it can be a really tricky thing. So, for instance, with your background, Minakshee, if we were in a meeting, I would know that you have something different and special to bring to that meeting because of your background. So I
Yeah.
might want to refer to that, and it's being able to refer to that without sounding wrong in doing that. So I would say, Minakshee, with your background and your experience, what new insights can you give us? Because we've all been in the UK since we were born, for instance, if that was the situation.
Mm.
So, what insights can you give us on that? So, hopefully, that would be a reasonable way to invite somebody in, would it? Do you think?
I think so because we all have our different expertise, different knowledge, different experiences. So one of the things when I'm undertaking any community engagement work, it's about being aware that the room is made up of lots of people from those different backgrounds. And even though if they are from the same community, it doesn't mean that their experience has been the same. So it's
Hmm.
about saying, acknowledging that and bringing people into that discussion and
Yes.
debate. So, mentioning that in my case, oh, Minakshi, would you like to come into this? Because you may have a perspective that we haven't considered yet or that we don't know of yet. So could you share that? And that's how you would then bring in individuals so they can be heard, so they
Yeah.
can actually voice what they've experienced, what their expertise is around the particular service that you're trying to put together.
Mm.
And you might find is actually it's totally different to other
Yes.
people in the room, and you might have been going down one route thinking, oh yeah, this is the way to do things, and then suddenly you're thinking, oh, hang on a minute, we've just had a different perspective.
Yeah. Yeah,
let's
you
let's
put it really
explore that.
well then. You put it much better than I did. So
No,
this
no,
is
no, no.
why you do, this is why you do what you do. But I mean, that's true of everybody, isn't it? That
It's
we should never really
yes.
assume what people are going to bring to the table and what people are going to think or say,
No,
whether
you can't
they
do that.
are from the same background as us or not,
Yeah.
or and therefore everybody deserves that open and free hearing
Yes.
and
So that
that
they do.
space to be held for them. Yeah.
Yeah. We need to make space, and then, as you said, hold the space. So
Mm.
not ask them, can you give us your perspective, and then okay, that's fine, move along. We need to then listen, give them that space to say, and for us to hear what they're saying before we then move on to other things. So it's not about, somebody used the phrase that it's not about just asking people to come to an event that you've organized. If it's, say, a party or something, it's not just asking them there and making sure that the food is available, that everybody can eat, that they can partake in the refreshments as well. But if it's a party, it's sort of then saying, asking them to dance with you, not just inviting them to the party, but actually then asking them to dance with you. So that's the
Yeah,
from inviting to including into
including.
the
Yeah,
everything that's happening at that party.
I'll take. That's a lovely analogy. That's a lovely analogy, and I like that. And I've noticed recently, just from my point of view, and working with some performers as I do, there is more diversity and inclusivity happening now in theatre land as well.
Mm,
And so,
very, very much
people
so.
from different ethnic backgrounds are being able to take on different roles that in the past they wouldn't have been considered for. And I think that's great. I think it's good that we're getting that wider awareness that, we're all the same at the end of the day. We're all human beings. I don't like this otherism
No, no, no.
that seems
We
to creep in.
Yeah, we're all human beings. We all bring different perspectives into how to do things, and it's always good to have a wider perspective than a narrow view of things. And I think in this day and age, there are role models in the theatre, the music, the drama,
Mm,
whether it's
mm,
television or film industry, that younger people can now see, and they want to be part of, because I've got a niece who is in the theatre. She's on the production side because
mm.
that's what she, wants to be, and she wants to be a director at the going forward. And
Fantastic.
she can see people from her perspective, from her community in those roles now. So, I know that she will be able to fulfill that dream.
Mm, mm. Really good. So tell us a bit about your charity work and this award, Minakshi, because
Okay,
that's
so
fantastic. I mean, congratulations on that.
thank 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 you very much for that. I am a trustee for a mental health charity based in Leicester, Leicestershire and Rutland, called Leicestershire Action for Mental Health Project, and
Hmm.
they provide advocacy for people who are have mental health issues, but also their carers. So this is another bit about enabling people to have a voice, because that's what our advocates are doing. They're empowering individuals who need access to mental health services to have a voice in their treatment, in their care plan. Um,
Yes.
so it's a charity that's very close to my heart. And I've been a trustee for about 17 years. I've been connected with them since 2001, and I've been a trustee with them for about 17 years, and I was a chair for 9 years. So the Fernley House Foundation, which does awards for Leicestershire Community Champions, and some individuals who are connected with me felt that it was appropriate to nominate me. It isn't something that I'm very comfortable with because
Mhm.
I don't do things because I want to get recognition for it. I do things because I want to do them.
Of course.
Uh, but it is a nice feeling uh, when you do win and there is that recognition that you've done that. So it does make you feel all warm and fuzzy inside, and it makes you feel that actually I am making a difference. I am having an impact. I'm raising the profile within the South Asian community
Mm,
about mental health and
mm.
talking about mental health and mental well-being, because in some of the South Asian community, it's still a subject that's not talked about very much.
Right.
So, the theme about having people's voices heard, hopefully you can see, is that there is a thread in everything that I do and have been doing for the last 30 odd years, fits in with the bit giving people a voice.
There is. There is. Which is why I really wanted to speak to you on here, because I think you have such amazing experience and valuable things to say. But we're
Okay.
coming to the end in a moment. But can you, do you have any tips for people who are looking to increase diversity and inclusivity, equality in their workplace?
So I think people need to think about one of the things is about auditing what you already have, looking at what you have, what you're doing, but then comparing that to the community that you're serving. And if it doesn't reflect that, then have the discussion within your business about, let's talk about this. Why is it that there is this community out there that we're not tapping into? What is it that we need to do? And have those discussions. And if you're not sure, then don't be afraid to engage with somebody who would
Hmm.
be a helpful catalyst in making
Yeah.
that happen for you.
Hmm.
And most people out there would be more than happy to help because they work in a non judgmental way. They're not going to come in and go, how come you're doing this already? So,
Mm.
communication is very key, and education is the other key. And I think when you've got the two together, then inclusion will happen. If you really pay attention to both those two things and embed that in, then inclusion will happen because people will think, I'm doing this. Is it accessible to all? People will automatically ask themselves those questions and go, okay, it's not. What do I need to do differently?
Yes.
How can I do change that? Sometimes it's just tweaking. It's not about money and putting
No.
new things in place. Sometimes it's just tweaking what is happening and what you're doing and what you're not doing to get the right outcome for you and your
Mm.
business.
And from what you've just said, asking the right questions
Asking
as
the
well.
right questions, exactly.
Yeah,
And in
really.
my view, there's never a silly question um, or a wrong question, because if it informs you going forward that actually that wasn't the right thing, then you've learned something. Or
Yeah.
actually that was the right thing, you've still learned something. So there's never ever a silly question.
Well, that's good to know. So, I mean, that's been wonderful speaking with you, Minakshi. Where can people reach you if they're interested in speaking to you about your work or getting you to help them? Where can they reach you?
So I am on LinkedIn, so they can find me as Minakshee Patel on LinkedIn, or they can go to my website, which is minaksheepatel.co.uk, and complete the contact form, and I will get back to them.
Fantastic. I'll put those in the comments when people come to look at the recording later.
Okay.
So thank you, the people who've been with us. Having a couple of, there is a comment here and from Mel, who says, thanks to you both. Really useful to hear your thoughts. Finding the right person to advise can be difficult, but you've helped me to see that I need to keep looking. Well, you never know, Melanie. It might be Minakshee that you need.
Thank you for that, Anne.
And thank you for commenting as well, Melanie. It's great to have that interaction. And if you happen to be watching on the recording, then you can still make a comment or ask a question, and we can come back to you and help with that. So just for now, anyway, thank you so much, Minakshee, for being here and for giving us such a rich picture.
Thank you, Anne, for asking me. It was lovely.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And bye for now.
Bye.